for the Spider-Man game coming up. I think it was just called Marvel's Spider-Man, right?
Yep.
Kind of a generic title.
Yeah. Preach it, baby.
And I think this game looked awesome. What do you think, Josh?
Yeah, I think it looks smooth, man. I think you're right in that you were commenting on that nonstop about the smoothness of the motion.
Right.
I don't like the fighting as much as you did. I think it's still a little choppy. It's very reminiscent of like Superman on the PS2 to me.
Okay,
with the punching, and it's like all of a sudden they swang like 6 feet the other direction when they threw a kick at you. I don't know. I wasn't sold on that part. But my favorite part is how he is constantly doubting himself through the whole thing, right? Where he's talking to himself. He's like, "Oh, please don't screw it up. Like, I don't want to mess up." That's classic Peter Parker to me.
Yeah. Chris, did you have any thoughts about this?
I think it looks really great. It looks like a lot of fun, but it does that thing again where in the cutscenes, it's like all of a sudden you got to mash some buttons. And I kind of feel like let cutscenes be cutscenes.
Yeah.
And let the action be the action.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of just the thing now. Like, when you play Gears of War, there's always those moments.
I hate it.
Or at the end of bosses, like, it becomes real, like, smash triangle or smash, B or whatever.
I hate when they do that. It's like, let me play, and then if you want to do a cutscene, show me a cutscene. And I will watch. I'll stay here.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I like the scene right here where you put a little, like, trap right there, and then you call the guy over, and then he gets stuck to the wall. Stuff like that is going to be so cool. The movement in this game is awesome.
They have legitimately thought of a million different ways to web people.
Yeah,
that's true.
There. So kudos to them for taking something that could be so boring.
I love interactive environments.
Yeah. And they've done. That's a really impressive thing because it gets super old after a while if you just keep webbing. You know, if it's the same thing.
It would be curious to see how they when you do an interactive environment, right? Like, is that thing always going to be available?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm also wondering if that I'm realizing now, rewatching this, is a big part of the movement is how great the camera was interacting with the movement, like coming up right behind the shoulder at perfect times. I'm wondering if that will always be true when you're playing this.
Right, or if that was for the demo.
Yeah, if it gets a little janky when you actually play the game.
Some of the fight scenes just seem a little unrealistic.
No, I love this. You're crazy, Josh. You're just being an antagonistic Harry over here.
Yeah, well,
I made up a term for you.
Somebody's got to be a little bit more objective.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Can't like everything that Sony puts out, James.
I don't like everything. I just like 99% of it. I mean, I rate them on a scale of incredibly good to awesomely good.
Is there any reason for the new Spider-Man logo? Like with the white thing?
Because they like doing that every year?
So, is it just only a costume change, or is there any relevance to that? I don't know.
I think it's two things mixing at once. On the one hand, it's somewhat reminiscent of the recent Spider-Man movie that's coming out, Spider-Man Homecoming. It's not exactly the same, but it's much more comparable to that.
Okay.
But at the same time, it is unique, and I think that uniqueness is to sort of underline the fact that this is like not canon, right? It's like an alternate Spider-Man, so you can kind of play around with the plot and the relationships and things like that. Marvel, much like Star Wars, is really thinking about what is canon, even with the games, even with comic books, even with the movies. And they're just being very careful about that. So I think by distinguishing his look, they're sort of underlining side story here, like not mainline Spider-Man plot. Especially since this seems like it's Peter Parker Spider-Man, and in the current comic books, it's definitely all about Miles Morales. So Peter Parker's more of a side Spider-Man.
I do like the flips that they do with him like that. Yeah. I think his body movement is super cool. I think you're right. I think it's a camera that absolutely sells it.
Yeah, I think that'll be the question is when it comes down to it, will the camera really be that smooth? Because cameras can be tricky things. All right, let's move on, Chris.